The very first episode of Horror Pop After Midnight Underground is coming to you right now. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on all notifications, and follow us on other social media platforms. And listen to the Horror Pop After Midnight podcast hosted by Robyn Nelson every Wednesday, where he interviews the latest and hottest indie filmmakers and indie films in the industry today. Speaking of which, Maggie, have you seen Robyn? Robyn! Oh my God, what happened to you, man?
I was being chased by walkers and a vampire woman. I don't know if it was a vampire or a goth girl.
Funny you should mention that, Robyn, because this week's title is Dead City and a Vampire. So, a lot of news going on, Robyn. The Walking Dead, Dead City, has premiered on AMC Plus and AMC, the most watched original series in AMC Plus history. What are your thoughts?
So far, it's pretty good, but good news about that series. We are going to get a season 2 next year, which was announced at San Diego Comic-Con, because how it ended, I kind of figured they were going to be doing a season 2.
We are not going to spoil it for you, but yes, the way it ends, we have only begun to open up the Pandora's box of the saga of Maggie and Negan. It has been an incredible season. I've seen all 6 episodes. Personally, it was everything I could have hoped for and more in this series. Lauren Cohan, Jeffrey D. Morgan, of course, phenomenal actors, knocked it out of the park. But the supporting cast is also very, very interesting as well. The side characters almost make the series, especially Negan's new charge, Ginny.
Yeah, let's talk about Jenny. I love how they did the backstory. They did the origin story with Jenny too. I like how it brought back. And then Jenny, of course, decided, she looks up to Negan so much. And I love the whole thing about her stuffed dinosaur. That was her love, her passion. And, Negan, kind of gave her that tough love, father love to teach her a lesson,
Yes. And I almost looked at the dinosaur in the series as a metaphor for humanity. Holding on to your...
I can see that.
Holding on to the humanity. Because as we know, in the episode, Maggie is contemplating and she's thinking back and forth. Am I going to cross this line? But not only the line of, am I going to cross it and burn this thing, but am I going to cross and become who Negan thinks I am? Because Negan in the series makes a lot of very, very valid points that, hey, you're no better than I am. You have done terrible things. I have done terrible things. Stop pretending like you're better than me.
And the weird thing about the whole Maggie and Negan thing, you notice how Negan is getting more touch with his darker side. Remember how he was trying to,
knock, knock,
trying to, keep sane, because, after, on Walking Dead, Rick, help him with his eyes. But in this season, you see him tipping more into the dark side. I mean,
yes.
And you don't know if he's going to really snap and be him, or he's going to be like Batman the Dark Knight, where he goes all the way, but not all the way. But I'm dying to see what happens on next season, how Negan, taps into his emotions, and does he go back to his badass self?
Right. And I thought that was one of the most well done things that we saw in this series, in this season. Because, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there are some things that Maggie is not telling Negan. And while they're interacting, Negan, tells her, like, hey, I only put on a show. I only become this guy to protect the people that I love, the people that I care about, the people that are counting on me. I'm only a monster when I have to be. And clearly we see that monster is coming back. And with the second season, I think we are going to see a very good hybrid of both. Of the monster Negan, but the rational Negan. Because even in that episode, you have that look after he plays a wonderful, the best knock-knock joke I have ever heard in my life.
And that was so priceless. It's like,
mwah, mwah. Beautiful. Just so great.
My jaw dropped when I saw that scene.
Mine did too. First my jaw is agape, and then it's just laughter all the way. And it actually, in my day job, it became a joke. Everyone's going around, knock knock, who's there? Butter, butter who? All day long, and it is just great. But in that moment, he's putting on this show and does not realize Maggie's behind watching this whole thing. So he's putting on this show, and when he turns around and they lock eyes and they see each other, you see this moment almost of clarity between the two of them, where Negan is seeing her point of view. Like, okay, how I could do this. I could see how this could be traumatizing. This could hurt someone. This could affect someone for the rest of their life. But then you have Maggie giving this look like, oh my gosh, the man that put on a show, eeny, meeny, miny, moe, and killed my husband to protect his people, just put on a knock-a-knock joke show to protect me and to help me get my son back.
Now, let's talk about the whole Maggie agenda. There's a lot of things that she's not telling Negan. For example, when Jeannie was, back over at Hilltop, remember when Maggie told Negan they would come and steal all the grain? All the grain was in there. And Jeannie was kind of, being like a little detective and stuff. So what is Maggie's main agenda, and how did they take, Herschel, her son, and what got her to go find Negan in the first place, to manipulate him to go on this like crazy mission over to Manhattan, and she's like drawing him around like a puppy, not really telling him what to do. And then, like we talked about early, Jeannie comes on, and then she sees Maggie trying to burn the thing. And I think Jeannie does not like Maggie at all. I think she knows Maggie there's something about Maggie she can't figure out. And I'm waiting for her to really tell Negan. And what do you think Negan's going to do when he finds out the true agenda of Maggie?
Okay, so to answer that question, as being someone that's seen it, I will give an ambiguous answer.
I mean, I've seen it too, but go ahead. Yeah.
But for our audience that may not have seen it,
okay.
I think what Negan's goal will be, as we know, Negan is very paternal. He always has a soft spot for children.
Yes.
That city is not a place for a child to be.
Yeah.
So he is going to do anything and everything possible to get this girl to safety.
Yes.
How she got there, why she got there is not important. What is important at that point is get her out of there. Get her away. She needs to go somewhere safe. That was his whole agenda for going along in this mission. As we know in episode 1 was, hey, I will go on this mission with you to retrieve your son who has been kidnapped if you will put up this child that is now in my care that has nothing.
Yeah, for Hilltop, so she can live a better life. And the thing I like how they explained about Negan, about his wife and kid, how they went on, but he decided to stay. So I hope in season 2 they explain a little bit about that. They give like a dream sequence or a flashback sequence why he let them go and why he stayed, because we really don't know why he stayed back. We
really don't. From my thoughts on it is as a father, if I know that this law is coming after me, they are coming for me. My wife and children are going to be in the line of fire. They could potentially become pawns to draw me out. So maybe as a wanted man, the safest thing is to send them away. So that way they're not in the line of danger when the lawman comes looking for him. or maybe he knows that that guy is coming back, and he doesn't want his wife and child to see.
Yeah, when the
that.
lawmen try to take him to justice, because you see a lot of wanted posters of Negan
Yes.
of his past sins. Remember how they even mentioned it back in The Walking Dead, where he had them all lined up, Glenn, Abraham,
Yes.
all of them, and took out Abraham with
Yep.
Lucille.
Lucille, the beautiful Lucille.
And then
Yes,
she takes a
God.
Glenn. And then, before Dead City started, we saw the last episode of Walking Dead where Maggie still didn't like Negan, and they
Right.
had that little heart-to-heart. And,
Right.
and Maggie told her how he felt towards us, like, I do not like you.
Yes. I can't forgive you, but I can live with the fact that you have earned your place in our community. But if there are days I can't look at you, I can't work with you, and I can't move on, that's why. I appreciate you apologizing, but I just can't get past it. And things in Dead City begin to take a step towards finally getting to how are we going to get to that point.
Yes, you can tell because they leave a little clues. If you look, there's a little Easter eggs they put in there that leads you right to where it needs to go.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys watch it, just look closer. There's a little Easter eggs explains what's going on through Dead City, and it all connects, through the whole season.
Yes, through the whole entire season, where you start to see where Maggie and Negan are opening up to each other. And
They are, and it's like kind of like opened up a Pandora's box.
yes.
So we don't know, are they going to end up being like good friends, or are they going to be like one of those friends it's like, I scratch your back, you scratch my back, and we'll both be badasses and do what we need to do.
And there is a thing in the season finale where
Yes.
that is sort of a
Kind of
point
potted.
that Negan brings up is, hey, we make a badass team.
Yes, we do.
We
No
make a
spoilers.
No
We've seen it.
spoilers.
We've seen it.
We've seen it, but no spoilers. But they make a badass team.
Yes.
And after events unfold, Maggie starts contemplating that. She starts thinking about that.
Yeah, it's
And
kind
it's brought to her attention, like, you can't let this go.
yes.
And she does begin to kind of think that maybe the only way out is through. I have to get some finality. Now, whether that is going to be a fight to the death or a little shipping action.
Ooh, shipping
Do we got any Team Nagy fans out there?
Team Nagy. I
Team
like
Nagy.
that. It's hashtag that.
Hashtag Team Nagy. It is all over. Team Nagy.
Nagy.
And a lot of people say, how could that be? How could people want to see these two? It just doesn't make sense. The interesting thing, Robyn, did you know that the part of the brain that controls fighting and fornication are the same place? That is why they say love and hate are strange bedfellows. Ooh. And even Jeffrey Dean Morgan in an interview said in a Twitter post, a fan, he was responding.
Yeah, we follow good old JDM.
We
on
follow
Twitter
JDM,
and
of
Instagram.
course, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. Laura Cohen's a little less active, but she
We
pops
still
up.
follow her. I mean,
We follow her.
we
Yeah,
follow
she's
her.
just a little less active. She
Active.
pops up every now
here
and
and there,
again.
yeah.
But definitely nowhere near as active as Jeff is. But I think it was a Men's Health interview, that somebody's responded to tweets, and one of them said, I wish Maggie and Negan would just kiss and get it over with already. And he goes, yeah, me too. And I think the reason why people want to see this is, number one, it's almost like a car wreck. You're driving by, you're not supposed to want to look. You shouldn't look, but you look.
And also, there could be a little kinkiness into that, because you don't know if they get together, they can get a little. I mean, way beyond kinky.
Right, like my wife and I were actually talking about that. Hush over there.
Oh no, there's a Star Wars clock here.
You'll never know what'll pop up.
You don't
in
never
Horror
know.
Pop Underground.
Yeah, you don't know what's
You
gonna
don't know
pop
what's
up.
gonna happen.
The Star Wars clock over there.
Yes, but who doesn't love Star Wars?
Yeah.
If you don't love Star Wars, hey, what? Why not?
Why not have the theme song playing when it
when we're
hits the right
we
time?
were talking about something so operatic and cinematic as these two enemies maybe becoming lovers. Very cinematic, but there is there are definitely some looks that they give each other, and there's definitely some stuff, but also, as you can see, they're two very beautiful people. I think that's why people want to see it. Just two very beautiful people.
Something? I have a man crush on Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I think Lauren Cohen Maggie is sexy as hell.
I mean, Lauren Cohen Maggie is my celebrity hall pass. That is my celebrity crush of all crushes. And as a man, as a straight male, I could still see the appeal of Jeffrey. He is a very handsome man. Funny, charming. I've met him.
And also very manly.
Very manly. I mean, he did, pop his skull so hard, your eyeball just popped out.
You're like, wow, that's a hot man.
Wow, man, look at that. And then a lot of men and women out there like, to me,
right here.
Be next.
He popped his eye out on me too.
Yeah,
But
be next.
If I ever meet Jeffrey Dean Morgan again, I want him to do the knock knock joke on me.
Yes. And actually, when I met him at Horror Hound Weekend in 2017, I actually took the knee to him. I was dressed as Negan and everything. He loved it. I took the knee. He loved it.
Okay.
He loved it.
I'll tell you a great Negan story. When I first met Jeffrey Dean Morgan at Horror Hound, I was wearing the Winchester Brothers t-shirt, because he was on Supernatural. He played the father. And I follow, Jansen Ackles and Jared Padalecki on Twitter, and they would do back and forth with Jeffrey Dean Morgan going, our father, and they did a picture where it showed Jeffrey Dean Morgan with Lucille and Babe, the car, and they're talking about, what's our dad doing with this baseball bat?
And didn't he respond, boys, that's for Dad's work. Now put that back and leave it alone.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Just such a sense of humor. So, it's really good. But yeah, Dead City, just a phenomenal show, a phenomenal series.
I can't wait for season 2.
I cannot wait for season 2.
San Diego Comic-Con has been showing a lot of great stuff, and when like we talked about, there's going to be season 2, which is awesome.
Yes.
So I can't wait. Now, let's go to another subject. Let's go to vampires.
Ooh, to vampires, another. Oh my goodness. My favorite vampire
Subspecies.
series.
And then they have the new one, Subspecies 5, Blood Rise. And I'll tell you a cool thing about this. Me and Sean saw this before anybody did at Horror Hound, red carpet premiere. No one else didn't get to see it.
No.
And then after that, it went to,
select theaters,
select
cinemas were doing.
But yeah, this was pretty cool. And then on my podcast, I had Denise Duff on there. She's a very nice lady.
Oh, that doesn't even begin.
And then a lot of people thought she was in Subspecies 1, which she wasn't.
No, she was not.
She started in 2.
In 2.
So we started, talking a little bit about that, and we talked about, Blood Species Rise, where, it was being filmed.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how in the movie she played Michelle, right?
Yes.
Well, in the prequel, you don't have to watch the 4 films to watch part 5, because it's a whole different story.
Right.
So instead of Denise Duff, playing Michelle, she plays Helena, like a reincarnation of Michelle.
Of Michelle, yes.
Yeah. And the funny thing about in the movie is she plays Stefan's mother. And then if you watch her as Michelle in the later films, she has an affair with Stefan, but it's Michelle. Isn't that kind of like a time warp incest type of little thing?
Who knows? That is interesting because, is it Michelle or is it Helena reincarnated? We don't know.
Yes.
So that is the interesting thing.
And the cool thing about this film is they had breathtaking cinematography.
Oh, beautiful
through
beautiful.
Through the countryside.
Countryside of Serbia is where they filmed it instead of Transylvania.
And the soundtrack was just perfect.
Oh.
It was just like, mwah.
Yes, and Anders Hove did not miss a beat as Radu Vladislas, everybody's favorite vampire, or at least my favorite vampire. Just phenomenal work. Didn't miss a beat. It was almost like he walked off the set of 4 yesterday, walked right into the set of 5, and just right into it.
The weird thing about it is when I talked to Denise Duff, this took 30 years to finally get this shown.
Yes.
But when had Denise on the podcast, she said she read the script 17 years ago.
Yes, it apparently they had been flirting with the idea of the production for a very long time. Like shortly after 4 was done, they were talking about doing 5, but like you said, it never got off the ground. Now, did she actually reveal why it took so long to get 5 into production?
Yeah, it was more like cost-wise. You know, and then she also talked about when they filmed certain scenes, they only could drive 3 hours at a time to get into the deeper part of the countryside and get the quick shots, and that's it, and they were done.
Right.
So they would have like the cars, they would have the catering, the costumer, everything, the trailers there. And since they didn't have a high budget, they had to film certain scenes real quick to get out of there.
Right.
And then when they were filming, the people, you know, the citizens of that country, you know, just thought it was like a normal day while they were filming.
Yeah. Anders tells a funny story in the behind the scenes of the movie that when they were originally filming the first series, apparently he pissed off somebody in the military or something over there. Like people were coming from him. He doesn't explain what happened, but it is a very interesting story. So it does seem like even though it was the first film to be filmed in Romania post-communism, they were still not completely 100% safe while they were filming.
Yeah, Denise also mentioned a little bit of that too, and Denise said, you know, she just loved, you know, like working everybody. I mean, it was just a great chemistry. And then there's a new girl in here.
Yes. The sister of Ash, as you know, who is Radu's prodigy in the 4th film, as well as in Vampire Journals, and we get to meet them and see how they come to be his disciples, as he calls them in the movie. And the acting is phenomenal. The actress is so sweet. Did you get a chance to talk to her?
Yeah, I did. I interviewed her at the red carpet. This was her first convention ever.
Right.
And when I was talking to Denise on the podcast, she paid her own money and everything just to come.
Wow.
Yeah, so they didn't pay her. She did this all herself, but she was in New York with her family, so it was kind of easy. But she paid for everything. She did, because she's a model.
Right.
A European model.
You can definitely see it. Beautiful woman.
And she didn't know how to rec. So she talks to Denise. She's like, Denise, how do I dress? And Denise kind of jokingly, just wear a black t-shirt and a pair of jeans and you fit in. Or you can, you know, wear something nice, you know.
Right.
Wearing a black t-shirt and jeans. And so she did. So she wore this, like, elegant outfit. And then the next day, people wanted her autograph and wanted to meet her, and she was shocked because this was like her first convention appearance ever. Right.
And that must be interesting, and also a different culture. Being from Europe, it's probably a very different culture, and just having people find you so interesting, you know, was probably just something for her. But speaking of the acting in this movie is phenomenal. Just so good. And just, you know, I think this was the first movie to actually get a theatrical release in the series. I think everything else was straight to or VHS.
Yeah, what Denise said when the first 4 films came out, they were on VHS, and this is before streaming and everything.
Right.
This is where you would go to a mom and pop.
Yes.
And then you would go.
Remember those kids?
Oh gosh, and then Blockbuster, Netflix.
Blockbuster, and had to get into anyway.
So she said, you know, that's how it started. So actually, Subspecies 5 was the first ever of the films through Full Moon to have that theatrical release.
Yes.
But Denise also said, you know, she goes, since you saw it and everything, you were like the first
Yes.
before anyone
Yes.
would see this.
Yes.
And then I asked her, I go, how did Charles Band think about this? She said Charles Band was enjoying every bit of it.
Oh, you know it. Because like you said, I was in there in the premiere. I actually saw a movie before this at the Horror Hound Film Festival that I had no interest, but it was a wonderful movie. I think it was called Blood in the Snow. It was sort of like a The Thing ripoff.
Okay, because I wanted to see that.
It was actually very good. Like I had no interest in seeing
I
it.
wanted to see it, but at the time I covered Horror Hound Film Festival, so I was getting interviews with some of the indie filmmakers and actresses
Right.
Through all these great films, but I didn't get a chance to interview the filmmaker to see that. But I saw the certain films. But of course, this was on my top.
Right. That was the on the Mount Rushmore of movies that I wanted to see there. So I ended up seeing the movie before this just to have a seat for this. But I did enjoy the film. So if you go back through the Horror Hound weekend archives, you can find the movie and the showtime and everything. But it was a really well done movie. But as you know, we got to see the premiere and they did a little Q&A afterwards. And I actually got the very first question.
What was the question? Who was it to? Was it to Denise?
It was to Denise and Ted. They were right in front of me. Maybe
Ted, you have to give Ted props.
Oh, Ted is...
You can tell he put his heart and soul in this movie.
Heart and soul and everything he could into this movie.
With the budget they had.
With the budget that they had. But whether it was a high budget or a low budget, really watching this movie, you couldn't tell.
All right, tell me who the question.
The question was
and Denise.
to Ted and Denise. The movie was so good, I asked, can we get another?
And what did Ted and Denise say?
They said they're on board. So, hopefully...
there will be a Subspecies 6.
And I discussed that with you. We were discussing a little bit before we got on air. I discussed that a great way to go from this... Because as you know, this is a prequel. This is set 500 years of the life of Radu Vladislas.
Well, and also in this, he was good before he went evil.
Well, exactly.
Because he had a fucked up family.
He did. He was born into conditions that they tried to save him from, but destiny brought him back.
Those monks had no chance.
They had no chance at all. They had no chance. Those knights, they look like Knights Templar, is what they look like.
No, well, they did, yeah.
Yeah, they had I was like, hey, they look like Knights Templars.
I know, exactly. So,
so
that'd be cool if they do a part and they said they're on board. So maybe.
So my hope is they will then take and branch from this to how we get to the first movie. How we get to the feud between Stefan and King Vladislas, who is very different in this movie than Angus Scrim was in the first Subspecies.
Yeah.
So I am really interested to know what happened there. What happened? How did the king go from this bloodthirsty, vampire to, you're banished from this place, Radu. You crave evil. And it's like, where did that come from? Because I'm pretty sure about 500 years ago, you craved the same thing. So as we talked about, I said it would be a wonderful movie and you could call it, and Ted and Denise, if you are listening, you have my full permission to use this title, Subspecies 6, Blood Feud.
Ooh, that is good. You should be talking to Charles Band about that.
I know, right?
Because Charles Band and Full Moon have part of this though too.
Oh, I know. They, and if they use it, I would love that. It would just be amazing. But it could explain more. We now know how he became the Radu that he is in this series. The man that is, as it says in the back, looking for his humanity and looking for revenge from the people that took him from the sun. Because he even has a line in that movie that the sun is the source of all life and goodness in the universe, and that is taken from him.
That is deep.
So all he is chasing in this, and it gives you a whole new view, is his humanity and his companionship. That is all this man wants. So, is he really evil or is he misunderstood?
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Ooh.
So definitely I feel like there are questions, Ted, Denise, Charles, that need answered in Subspecies 6.
If they do a Subspecies 6, it could be a year from now. It could be 20 years from now. We're old and gray and sitting in a wheelchair.
And I will still be in the front row, clapping and cheering, and just loving every blood dripping moment of it, as I have every movie in this series. So much so, I have the box set signed by all the actors. That one I have not yet, but I will someday.
You definitely will, and it will happen. I got all the signatures on the poster from everybody too. You know, it's not here today, but I got the signatures too.
Ooh, there you go. It's good to have, and they are some of the nicest people you will ever meet.
Yeah, Denise was nice.
I don't think she's got a mean bone in her body. I don't think she can.
Doesn't.
I don't think she can be mean.
Denise Duff was a fun interview when I had her on the podcast. I mean, I talked to her way before at Whorehound. We were talking about when she was gonna come on, but she had some great stories.
Oh.
And then, yeah, and, you know, it was just great hearing the stuff. And she, you know, did a lot. Before she got in the Subspecies series, she did a lot of TV. She did, like, Matlock, Northern Exposure.
Right.
She was doing, you know, regular acting roles. And then one day, she said when she walked down Sunset Boulevard, and everything from there was just history.
Oh, man. And it's the same as Honors, you know, went from TV, General Hospital, to this.
And
know?
Also, Denise Duff loves her fans. She says she has fans that are like the fathers, they're in their 60s, but the sons are in their 30s.
Yep.
And their kids, they're 10 years. She loves it when she meets third generation fans of the
Oh,
Subspecies
yes,
films.
because I'm a fan, and then my kids are a fan. And it's so much so that my daughter used to call Radu the Finger Man. That was his name. And actually, she learned to conquer her fears by actually meeting Anders and thinking that, you know, he's this big, scary vampire. Finding out he's just a big teddy bear. You know what I mean? He's just a big, sweet guy and, you know, is wonderful. And she loved it. But we called him the Finger Man. So much so that one of these DVDs is actually signed by Denise and says, save me from the Finger Man. You know, just a wonderful sense of humor, wonderful set of actors, wonderful creative team, wonderful studio producing this. And it's she says it great in this, because this was not put into theaters like your Halloweens, your Friday the 13th, your Nightmare on Elm Street, your Screams. It may not be as widely known, but it has such a passionate fan base.
And plus, if you haven't seen Subspecies 5, you can watch it on Screenbox
and Tubi for free. It has commercials, but you can watch it on Tubi.
Oh, it's on Tubi now?
It's on Tubi for free right now. Yeah.
Oh, you can watch it on Tubi or
Tubi.
Screenbox. Screenbox, no commercials? Tubi commercials.
Tubi commercials. Full Moon, the Full Moon app has it on there.
Yeah, they have all the Subspecies movies.
Yeah, you know, Blu-ray and DVD on Amazon right now. So definitely go pick yourself up a copy. And then once you're hooked on this, you will get hooked on the rest, and you will want to see how the story ends. And I would recommend, even though it's the 5th one, watch this one first.
Well, because you can watch, like I said earlier, you can watch this and not watch the first 4, because this is completely different from the first 4 films.
Yes, but if you do watch these other 4 films, this will help you understand a lot more of this.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can do it that way. And then let's get all excited when, you know, Walking Dead City Season 2 comes out, because there's a lot of questions I want to ask on that.
Oh, there's so many questions that need answered. There's a beautiful shot in the season finale of just, they did a split screen of half of Negan's face, half of Maggie's face.
That was priceless.
Did you see it? And then them looking at, you know that they're thinking.
And that's not a spoiler.
That is not a spoiler. It's all over the internet.
Yeah, it's all over
the internet. You will see the picture. It's everywhere.
But we're not going to spoil what happened to Andy or anything.
No,
and if you're watching it, you have to watch it and, you know, judge it for yourself.
When you're done with this, go watch Dead City. And then watch Subspecies 5. And you will not regret it.
Yes. And we'll have, this is our first episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. We're gonna get ready to do episode 2 next week.
Yes.
You can follow us at Horror Pop After Midnight on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the show, Horror Pop After Midnight Underground, will be on the Horror Pop After Midnight YouTube channel as well. And you can listen to me every Wednesday at Horror Pop After Midnight podcast, where I interview all the up and coming independent filmmakers of pop culture and horror, and all the actors and actresses out there. And please, stay tuned. We're gonna have some many great reviews and some cool stuff. So this is our first show.
So we hope you liked it. We hope you enjoyed it. And with that, Robyn, I believe you told me that there are some vampires and some walkers that need dealt with, and I think Lucille is feeling a little thirsty. Onward, Robyn!